This is my puppy. This is Mojers, also known as Mojo, also known as Mojo the Rescue. I want to talk about how to make your dating life better and how to get the most out of your dating experience, because modern dating is a little effed up. I'm not going to lie. With all the apps and online dating and people flaking and ghosting and breadcrumbing, I get it. Yeah, I think, with modern dating, it's really tough because we think we know people well from their profiles. Don't you wish you were a puppy? If you were a puppy, dating would be easier, right? Is dating easier for you, Mojo? People always ask me, in your 10 years of coaching men on how to date, what are some of the common mistakes that people make? And I unfortunately really don't like that question, because we all make mistakes, and that's the whole point of dating and life, is that you make mistakes and you learn from them, right? So instead of telling you guys what the common mistakes are, I'd rather talk about some of the things that you should think about when it comes to making your dating life better. And one of them is we tend to blame others. We tend to blame the environment. If we blame Tinder, for example, then you're the one that's swiping through. It's not like Tinder is giving you bad people for you to date. It's just a mechanism. So why are we blaming our environment? Because we've gotten a little lazy with technology. I think we feel like, oh, I could be at home wearing PJs and swiping through, and the love of my life is just going to appear before my eyes. If you start blaming the environment, then you're not putting the responsibility on yourself. We should be more accountable for our actions. I talk about dating with everyone I meet. Men and women have the exact same complaints about each other. Yeah, that's right. Men are like, oh, women are so flaky and they ghost on me because they have so many options, and they don't respect me, and they have this diva attitude. And guess what? Women have the exact same complaints about men. They say, well, men have so many options. They just swipe through an app. It's so easy for them. They don't take responsibility for their actions. I get ghosted on. I get breadcrumbed, benched, like all those terms come to mind. So the problem is, it's not about them. It's about you. If you're experiencing the same things over and over and over and over again, there's something you're doing. The biggest learning you can take away from this, and this, if you listen to this entire live stream and you want to be like, okay, what's the one thing I can take away from this, is that new thoughts will result in new outcomes. So if you have the exact same thoughts all the time and you have the exact same actions, you're going to have the exact same outcomes. What we tend to do is, oh, well, if people approach me more in real life, if people were friendlier, if these apps weren't so accessible to everyone, and blah, 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 blah. It's like we always blame the environment and other people. But think about it. If you were able to change your own mindset, then you're the one to blame, right? You can only control what you do and what you think. You cannot control what other people do and think. And that's powerful too, because a lot of times when it comes to dating, we expect other people to act and say and do the things that we would say ourselves. But guess what? They're not you. How could you expect them to be exactly like you? And they're not psychic. They can't read your mind. So we got to learn to be better communicators as well. And respect really comes as the number one factor when it comes to dating. When you go on a date with someone, when you match with someone and start messaging them, you need to start with a basic level of respect first. I respect you as a human being. All of you who've joined this live stream, I respect you as a human being. Whether I see you again on the stream, whether if I run into you on the street, it really doesn't matter, because in this moment, I respect you as a human being. And if you respect me back, we're going to have a great time, right? It's not about, oh, I go on a date and I'm sizing this person up. Are they going to be the love of my life? It's not about winning the other person over. It's about displaying your respect. And when you go into dates, displaying that basic level respect, you're guaranteed to have a good time. You're guaranteed to walk away with a connection of some sort, which is the next topic I want to talk about. Let's say you go on a date with someone and you're like, I'm just not physically attracted. That's okay. There's no way you could be physically attracted to everyone you go on a date with. Maybe there's like a basic level of I'm attracted to your photos or your online profile, but chemistry is so hard to determine. And the only way to determine chemistry is when you meet that person in real life. So that is out of your control. That is out of your hands. You can't go into a date expecting there to be chemistry. But what you can expect is a basic level of respect. And that respect comes with making an effort to connect with the other person. So I talk about this a lot in some of the seminars I do, which is how do you establish a connection with someone? So let's say you go on a date with someone and you guys are doing the date talk. You guys know what I mean by date talk, right? Where are you from? How many siblings do you have? Where do you live? What's your family like? What do you do for a living? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's great. I can have a date talk with my doggy. Okay, that's not that exciting. What's more exciting is to ask about people's life decisions. A person can always tell you a resume list of everything they've accomplished. But what's more interesting about a person and what gets more in depth about a person is why they made those decisions, why they did the things they did. Why did they make these choices? So, for example, I can say that I moved to San Francisco 3 years ago. I was living in Beijing for 2 years, and then I was in New York for 7 years before that. I know, I moved around a lot. I wish someone would say, well, why did you do that? Why did you move out of New York? I hear New York is like the most exciting city. You were there for 7 years, and then you moved to Beijing. How did that happen? Why did that happen? And how did that make you feel? These are the follow-up questions that will get you to the core of who someone is. So if someone asks me, okay, you were in Beijing for 2 years, but then you moved to San Francisco 3 years ago. Why? Why did you do that? Well, I would say, well, life choices. I just didn't want to be in Beijing anymore, and I wanted to explore a new city. Okay, so another follow-up question would be, but why? Why did you feel the need and feel compelled to try out a new city? Actually, I was in a relationship that wasn't going anywhere, and I had just finished a project out there, and I wanted to be back in the States, and I wanted to live in a city that I've never really explored before, and it seemed like San Francisco was sort of this great combination of a slower paced lifestyle than New York, but still a city. Boom. Now you're getting to the core of who I am. You want to see Mojo's pink nose? Oh boy. Oh boy, look at that pink nose. What a good baby. You're such a good baby. You guys, I'm a crazy dog mom, okay? That's something you just have to get used to. I'm a crazy dog mom. He has many outfits. He has 4 beds, and he sleeps in the same bed as me. I take him everywhere. I fly him everywhere. He comes with me to the grocery store, although it's not allowed, but I still sneak him in. He is, okay, I'm a crazy dog mom. So if you don't like crazy dog moms, then we can't be friends because you just have to embrace me for who I am. Some of you are probably at a point in your life where you think, I am who I am, okay? Take it or leave it. This is who I am. And that's kind of like how society and media portrays independence. It's like, you own who you are, you own it, you know, like this is, don't make any apologies for who you are. But guess what? People are constantly changing and evolving. Who you are today is actually different than who you were yesterday. Maybe the differences are just very little, but you are growing as a person in one direction or the other. Maybe you're developing into some sort of personality or developing into some sort of interest. I don't know what it is. Everyone's on their personal journey. So when you meet someone on a date, let's say, or just meeting a random stranger, you're just meeting them at a moment in their journey. It's a moment. It's fleeting moment. So instead of embracing like, this is who I am, this is my label, society tells me I should own it, own it, own it, Own that you are a work in progress and own the fact that other people are works in progress. You can't expect to go on dates and just think, dude, people should be perfect, right? We have to understand that people are works in progress. Nobody's perfect. You hear that a lot, but that really just means we're all on a journey. So when you're on a date, you should think about, how do I find out where you are on this journey? And how do I find out where I fit in this journey? It's a conversation, guys. It's not a competition. So a lot of times we go on these dates and we think, how do I win you over? How do I make myself look more attractive to you or seem more attractive to you? What games do I have to play to make you want me more? But then you have to ask yourself, do you actually want to be with this person, or are you just trying so hard to win them over? Because guess what? That energy you just spent on trying to win someone over, that energy could have been spent on someone who likes you way better. Or that energy could have been spent on bettering yourself. So why waste that energy on winning someone over? Because the person who is right for you, you don't need to win them over. They'll like you regardless. I want to share these findings because I want people to understand that there are no rules. There are no set rules in life, especially when it comes to dating. I really don't like it when people ask me, well, so I went on a date with this girl and should I wait like 3 days to text her back, or should I wait a while? Like, should I tell her that I don't want to see her this weekend, even though I do want to see her? And that is so restricting because it's not like, instead of you're dealing with another human being, I feel like you're dealing with like a test of some sort. And why do that? Why do that? Your time is so precious. Have you ever gone through a day and thought, where did the time go? Like every year around this time of the year, you always hear people say, oh, where did the summer go? I can't believe summer's gone. Where did the time go? Time just flies. It's true because in the grand scheme of things, time is so precious. Your time is so precious. So the time and effort you wasted on thinking about, oh, what games should I play to win this person over? That time could have been used in a much more valuable way. For example, is there like a skill or a hobby you've been trying to look into? Okay, let's not get too ambitious. I'm not even saying like to master or even to learn, but to just get into. So instead of trying to like, I don't know, a numbers game, try to date as many duds as possible. And when I say duds, I'm not saying the people, but the time spent. That's a dud. When you spend 5 minutes with someone, they're guaranteed to be a dud. I can tell you that. Unless if it's with Mojo. 5 minutes with Mojo, you'll be like, I am in love. Yes. Sometimes we feel very alone in what we're going through. Yes, right? Sometimes you think like, why is this happening to me? I don't deserve this. Or is this happening to anybody else? I don't think so. I don't see my friend going through this. I don't see my colleagues or my classmates going through this. Why am I going through this? That's not the case. We feel alone in what we're going through because we don't talk about what we're going through. What we try to do is mask and undermine what we're going through. And that way, nobody knows they're experiencing these things. But when we talk through our problems, it has to be productive. You can talk through a problem. Sometimes we just want to be heard. Have you ever heard that? If someone says, hey, I want to tell you about my day, something bad happened at work. What you should always say to your friend or partner is, do you want advice or do you just want to be heard? And people most of the time, just want to be heard. So in the beginning, when you're going through an issue, you find a friend. You say, I'm going through something and I don't really need advice right now. I just want to be heard. That's productive because the first thing to do is to just get it out there. That's it. Get it out there. Don't ask for advice. And oftentimes you're going to get unsolicited advice. Do you guys hate that? I hate that. I hate that. Sometimes I'm like, I had a really bad day at work, and then someone's like, oh, have you thought about like writing this email or like saying it in this way? I'm like, no, shut up. I didn't ask for your advice. I just want to be heard, because ultimately, all of us human beings just want to be heard. Why is this so hard? Because we're such bad listeners. With all the social media, with all the dating apps, with everything that's going on in the world, like even right now, this app is giving me so many pop-ups, and all I want you guys to do is just listen, right? I just want to be heard. And when it's your turn, I know you want to be heard too. So whatever it is you're going through, find that person and say, I want to tell you about something that I'm going through, and I just want to be heard. That's step number 1, okay? Into productive thinking. That's what it is. Step number 2 is, once you get it out there, first of all, you'll feel a lot better. Second, you want to go to someone that you really look up to. I really value mentors. I value some of my friends who are in very healthy relationships. I value my friends who are very successful in their careers, who are also humble about it. These are people I admire. And I will go to these people and say, hey, I'm going through something. I've already gotten it off my chest with someone else, but now it's my chance to ask you for advice. And 99.9% of the time, that person will say, I would love to give you advice. Because people want to share their learnings. Sometimes people don't know you need advice, or they don't know you're going through something. We always hear about like depression, in America or in the world. And we have this feeling that for some reason, we have this like image of a depressed person being like really slumpy and like, wearing all gray in a basement crying and not talking to anyone. And that's not the case. My encounters, because in my 10 years of coaching, I've had a lot of depressed clients who you would never know. They're at the top of their careers. They're attractive. They come from great families, and they hide all that depression. That's the face of depression. There are many faces of depression, but that's one face you never think about. So for those people who, on exterior wise, people just think they don't need help. They're not going through anything that terrible. There's nothing that's happening to them. And because of that thought process, they become even more lonely in their thoughts, because they feel like, well, I mean, that's right. I shouldn't be depressed. I am not the face of depression. This is not how I feel. Like I should mask it. And that's just, it spirals, because what happens with negative thoughts, depression, it spirals. It starts rolling down the hill, Indiana Jones style, and it gets bigger and bigger until one day it just explodes and just crushes you. And that day is a day, my friends, that you want to avoid. Okay, so you want to, in the very beginning, identify what it is that's bothering you, even if you think it's really little. I've had clients who said, you know what, I need some dating advice, but it's not a big deal. I mean, I'm totally fine with my dating life. It's just that, when this girl that I'm dating, when she doesn't text me back, it makes me feel bad. So it's not a big deal. They downplay it, right? It's not a big deal. She doesn't text me back, and it just bothers me a little bit. So like, can you help me on how to communicate with her, that she can be more communicative with me? Now, that seemingly is so little. It's like, oh, that's nothing. Just tell her that you want more communication. It's actually not that. A lot of these issues you think are very small because you don't know the root of it yet. So his issue, for example, and I won't get into all the specifics, but it started out as, I really want the person I'm dating to be more communicative over text. So he wanted that because he had abandonment issues from his childhood. And it's not from his parents, it's from his siblings. His siblings had bullied him, abandoned him because there was a huge age gap between the four of them. And so they bullied him, they gained up on him, and they abandoned him in a time of need when he was bullied in school. So he needs that sort of security from someone to say, I will always have your back. I will be there for you, because he didn't have that growing up. God, that's just such a little issue to begin with. And it uncovers this much bigger issue. And some of you may be thinking, well, I don't have some of these childhood issues. I don't think my problems are that big. It's not about, again, it's not a competition of how big our problems are. But if it bothers you, it's your reality. And nobody can judge you for it. Okay? Have you ever had a friend say, get over it. Get over it. You're a grown person. You're a grown man. You're a grown woman. Just get over it. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal. We need to validate our own feelings. If I'm feeling it today, like today, I was tired. I had 9 hours of sleep and I was still tired, and I kept punishing myself. Why am I so tired today? I shouldn't be tired. I should be, chipper and energetic. Why am I tired? But you know what? I was tired. That's my reality. So when I'm experiencing something, I validate myself for it. I'm tired. I don't know why I'm so tired. I got enough sleep, but maybe it's because earlier in the week I was exhausted and I was running around. So it's all hitting me now. It doesn't matter. That's your reality. So don't ever let someone undermine what you're going through. Don't do it. And if they do, they're not your real friend. Your real friend would never say, that's not a big deal. Get over it. Why are you so stuck on this problem? Why are you so stuck on this person? You can do better. You can, go out and have fun and go drinking. That's an enabler. That's not a real friend. That's a very selfish friend, because they know that by them saying that, they are off the hook. They don't need to help you. They don't need to walk you through your issues. They don't even need to listen to you. All they have to say is, it's not a big deal. Get over it. That's not a real friend. And one thing I've learned, and I know we're here talking about dating. I think there's a lot of bad information out there about how dating should be. Because a lot of people tend to talk about dating in silo, that it's not connected to the rest of your life. But when in reality, whatever you're experiencing in your dating life or in your love life, it's a product of everything else that's going on in your life. It's all connected. And that's why I want to bring this up, because I think for you guys, it's always good to have a check-in with yourself and think, okay, I felt bothered by what happened on this date or on this app or through this conversation. But is that a product of the conversation, or is that a product of maybe something that happened in school today, or something that happened with my parents, or something that happened with my colleagues? So it's all connected. And the more we get to know ourselves, the better you're going to get at life. That's really the fact. But again, like I said before, we're all on a journey. You're never going to be perfect. We're all on this journey to evolving ourselves, improving ourselves, and sometimes we make mistakes along the way, but we can't beat ourselves up for it. We can only learn from it. And that comes with surrounding yourself with the right people. And that is so important when it comes to dating. As you get older, you break up with friends who aren't real friends. And that's okay. It's not about hurting people's feelings. Friendships part ways sometimes. It's just like relationships. Sometimes people come in and out of your life for a reason. So they come in to introduce a new concept. You learn from everybody that enters your life. You take those learnings, and then at some point, you just got to part ways, and that's okay. But part of that breaking up with your friends, it's not like you don't have a sit-down conversation. It's like, it's not you, it's me, I'm moving. No, it's not. Guys, it's not that serious. It's not that formal. You just lessen your time. It's all about time allocation. As you weed out some of the friends who are negative influences on you, all you have to do is just spend less time with them. You don't have to have the breakup talk. But there are toxic friends for us that will hinder our lives, our dating lives especially. So we've got friends who are, I call them, remember I said the enablers. So those are the friends who want an easy way out of a conversation. And the conversation is usually about like some sort of problem you're facing. Okay, so if you're going through some sort of challenge and they tell you, don't worry about it, let's just go out and have a good time, that's an enabler. That's an enabler. That's not a real friend. A real friend would say, okay, I want to listen. I will devote time to listening to you, but let me know what you need from me. Okay? What can I provide for you? That's a real friend. A real friend is not only just there for you, but they actually want to listen to you. Again, people just want to be heard, right? A real friend will hear you. So that's an enabler. You get rid of that friend. Another type of friend is the empty words friends or empty promise friends. And we see this with dating as well. That's where flaking comes in and breadcrumbing and benching, blah, 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 blah. People getting stood up all the time. It's just that. Those are the friends who say, you know what? Yeah, let's do something Saturday. Sure. And then they don't follow through. Or they say, you know, we should all hang out like one of these days and get dinner, and then never come up with a plan. Surface level, it's fine. It's like, oh, okay, this is just a friend that never organizes anything or never follows through. But deep down, this is a friend who will not take you seriously. Who will not. If you had some sort of, I don't know, performance, let's say. I don't know if you guys do any sort of performances or something that meant a lot to you, and you ask this friend to show up, chances are they're not going to show up. Because you've basically trained them to not show up. You've trained them to be flaky. So the empty words, empty promises, people who are all about blah, 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 and no action, you want to spend less time with them too. I will tell you, it will save you a lot of time and trouble later. Okay? Just get rid of those people. The third type of toxic friend is the competitive friend. Let's see if you guys have ever encountered this. You get a raise at work or something, and you tell this friend, like, hey, I got a raise at work and I got a promotion. And they're like, oh, it's about time. That's not a real friend. That's a competitive friend. A competitive friend will always find ways to push you down. Yes? I'm guessing some of you have encountered this or have current friends who are like that. For some reason, they can't be happy for you. So every time you have some sort of good news, they're Debbie Downers. Every time you have some sort of bad news, oh, they're all about it. They're like, tell me more. Yes. And then what happened to you? And then this? Like, what? Right? They spend more time talking to you about the problems you're facing than celebrating your accomplishments and who you are. That's not a good friend. That's not a real friend. That is a friend who is in competition with you, who's threatened by you, and who will never want to see you happy. That's not a good friend. I don't want a friend like that. By surrounding yourself with toxic friends, you'll never have the kind of life that you want to have, especially when it comes to your dating life. You don't want that negativity to drag you down. You want to surround yourself with people who are not just positive and successful, but people who celebrate you, who see you and hear you. You want to surround yourself with people who are your biggest cheerleaders. If something great happens, they're the first one to high five you and tell you you deserved it. And if something bad happens to you, they want to sit down with you, devote their time and say, tell me everything. What can I provide for you? Those friends you keep for life. But the other friends, they're there to teach you lessons. We've all had toxic friends and they come and go. But when they are in our lives and we recognize that they're toxic, you learn from them. You learn that I don't want to be surrounded by someone like this. You learn that for some reason, every time I'm around this friend, I get really negative. You can feel it. Those toxic, negative friends, you just feel them weighing you down, like you're literally drowning in your sorrows. So if you're looking for a pick-me-up, you don't go to these friends. But real friends will always be there to pick you up. But they're not there to pick you up by saying empty promises or saying, let's go out and get drunk, blah, 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 blah. Those are not real friends. Those are friends who are looking for an easy out. They're like, oh yeah, that's really too bad that happened to you, but let's get wasted and find you someone new. No, those aren't real friends, because those friends are just looking for an easy out. They're not there. They don't see you or hear you. And they're not validating what you're going through. A real friend sees and hears you. And so when we think about these like positive friendships and people we can surround ourselves with, these friendships don't even need to be that deep. And I know some of you are like, okay, I actually don't have a close friend who is that right now. And I've been there too. Growing up as an only child, it's really hard for me to let people into my life because I only know myself. As an only child, you get really in your head. And some of you, even if you're not an only child, maybe you feel that way too, that you're like, I've always been really independent. I don't need other people to help me. And so you get like in this very lonely zone. Like, I don't need other people. Sometimes it's really hard to think about like, okay, I don't have any close friends. Now what do I do? Now I'm screwed because I don't have a support network. Friends come in many different variations. They don't need to be your BFF. They don't need to be the person you see all the time. My friend or my mentor growing up was a teacher of mine who really took me in. But it's not like I would ever call this teacher my BFF. We're not like going shopping and going to the movies together. But she really took me in because she saw me and she heard me. And as a new student, so just a little background, I had moved from Michigan to Colorado when I was in 7th grade. So I don't know if you guys remember 7th grade. It was a brutal time. And I was like not a cool kid. And that's besides the point. But I was just like, it was mid-semester. I had moved to this brand new school. And I had moved from a very diverse school in Michigan, East Lansing, Michigan, to a very white school in Colorado. So I was a little intimidated. I've never been around other people who weren't of the same color as me. And that's a very real thing that kids face and feel intimidated by. So there was an English teacher, Miss McGrew, who saw that I was intimidated by what was happening. I didn't have problems making friends, but I had problems with sort of like connecting with other kids because I felt like they weren't really on the same page as me. She really saw me and she took me in, and she was, in my mind, the person that got me through junior high because she was like, I remember there was a school dance and I didn't know if I wanted to go. I wasn't feeling totally confident. And one day she just brought a dress for me that was her daughter's dress that her daughter had worn when she was in junior high. And it was this beautiful black velour dress and it fit me perfectly. And she's like, you're going to wear this dress to the dance because you're going to the dance. And it just made my day. And people like that just really make a difference in your life, even though you don't see them all the time. And because of her, it helped me gain so much confidence in who I would eventually be when I went to high school, because I was like, someone's got my back. When you feel like someone's got your back, you feel invincible, right? If you feel like you don't have the immediate circle of friends that I'm talking about, who are your real friends, that's not necessarily what you're looking for. What you really want are the cheerleaders in your life that may be peripheral. They could be like a neighbor or like a barista, but someone who, whenever you're in their presence, you feel empowered by them. And that is someone you want to surround yourself with. And the more you surround yourself with people like that, like let's say there's a barista at Starbucks who every time gets your name right, knows exactly what you want. And it's like, I hope you're having a beautiful day, and telling you that you look awesome or something like that. And you want to keep going back to that Starbucks because you're like, this barista makes me feel like $1,000,000. The more you surround yourself with people like that, the more you get accustomed to that energy. And the more it draws and magnetizes other energy that are similar. Because energy attracts energy. Yeah, it's the same energy attracts the same type of energy. And the same goes for dating. if you go on a date with a negative type of energy because you had a bad day at work or you were with a friend who was toxic, that happens a lot, then your date absorbs that energy and becomes negative too. And that's what happens a lot of times on these dates, is that you bring in your day to the date. Never want to do that. You want to bring in the energy that you love about yourself when you're at your best. Think about that time when you're around this barista who made you feel like $1,000,000. What was that energy like? How did that make you feel? What did you do? What were your actions? What were your facial expressions? That energy radiates out of you. So the more you surround yourself with people like that, the more that energy just radiates out and attracts similar type of energy. So as I'm saying this again, it's not about you have to go out and scramble and say, oh, I need to find friends who are these cheerleaders of mine and I need to get rid of the friends I currently have. It's not about that. We can surround ourselves with all sorts of people, as many as we want. There's no like rhyme and reason to all of this, and there's no set rules, but at least you know yourself and how you feel around certain people. So just know that this support system comes in many, many shapes and sizes. They could be anybody in your life, but identify who they are and start spending more time with these people. And soon enough, you're going to feel this infectious energy. You're just going to be like, whoa, something's taken over my body. And I know it sounds like a hippity dippity, but it's not that. There's proven studies that energy attracts energy and it infuses you. It like comes out of your pores. And that's why there's a saying, misery loves company, because miserable energy attracts miserable energy. Also, at the same time, we can't be selfish about this. There are days I know that we feel awesome, and some days we don't feel as great. On the days where you feel awesome, try to pass on that energy to other people, whether it's on a date, on a dating app. Like, okay, start a conversation by saying, today was an awesome day. Yeah? And that tone is like an upper. Even if someone's having a bad day and they get a message like, today, it's an awesome day. Upper. So when you feel that energy, don't keep it to yourself because there's plenty of it. It's infinite. And then you just want to pass it on. Pass it on to the other people. Pass it on to strangers. Pass it on to that barista who makes you feel great. The more you pass on positivity, the more you'll receive it back. Think about that again. I'm going to say that again. The more you pass on positivity, the more you'll receive it back. Don't feel like you have to hoard it. It's not like you only have $5 and you can give any of it away. Think about positive energy as infinite amount of money that you can always give out and it'll always come back. And that, my friends, is what's going to make your dating life so much better. I guarantee you. Do you guys want to see Mojo again? Should I bring Mojo back? There he is. He was sleeping and I woke him up. I know. Look at all the hearts you're getting. That's my baby. That's my baby. It's so hard to say goodbye, but this baby needs to sleep and this baby needs to eat. Thank you guys for listening to me. I see you. I hear you. Thank you for seeing me and hearing me. And I respect you as a fellow human being. And I can't wait to talk to you guys even more.